my God.
Big goal to go from the two. Toss sweep one for James White. Cuts it up to the right arm. Cuts it upfield. Driving forward. Diving to the goal line. A touchdown. And a title for the Patriots.
I can't believe it.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
45 remaining. Tatum drives down and throws it down. Bases loaded. 2 out. Hard hit into right. Back at the wall. Tie game. Big Poppy.
No icing. For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Anything's possible! Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Kicking It with Kruse. I'm your host, Ben Kruse. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday night. It is Wednesday, October 23rd. Crazy how we're almost getting closer to the end of this month here. But before we get started with the program, and I will be having Isaiah Leon onto the program. We'll see specifically if I have anyone else. But for now, for those that are new, my name is Ben Kruse. Hi, how are you guys doing? For all the newcomers, for all the returners, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well. And before we get into all of our great stuff ahead of us, onto today's program, we're just going to go through some quick things down here on the ticker bar as usual. So for the newcomers and for the people that are returning, as usual, guys, if you guys like what you guys are seeing, make sure to follow us on Kick It with Kruse. Follow us on the MA6 and IM6 Sports Networks on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I would check mostly right now on YouTube. Our Facebook has been having a little bit more on the issue side. I've said that for the last couple of weeks. But make sure, guys, to check out all of our stuff on YouTube and on Facebook and all of our social media. We really appreciate it. We're really trying to grow this overall platform on the weekly. So definitely watch out for all that stuff there. And of course, feel free to follow my Twitter at BenCruz144. I do a lot of stuff content-wise. I'll hopefully put my TikTok in here as well. If you guys want to kind of see my TikTok stuff as well. And if you guys are interested as well, I have another podcast that I've been part of for a while now. And if you guys want to take a look at my stuff over there, by all means, send me a DM on Twitter or, connect with me somewhere else. And we could try to make that happen as well. So that's that. For tonight's show, we are going to get into, obviously, 3 different segments. We're going to get through baseball to start because we now officially have our World Series matchup, and it is going to be an absolute dandy. And I'm going to get into that very, very shortly. We're also going to get into the NFL as usual. We're going to get into our NFL Week 8 picks on the NFL season. We're also going to talk about some massive moves that have transpired between last week and this week. We obviously had a move even today, as of this morning, by the Kansas City Chiefs. The rich get richer with this added move. And does this move potentially put the Chiefs over the top to go for another Super Bowl, which would make them the first team ever to have a three-peat in the NFL season? And if we get to the end, another segment as well, too, the NBA officially returned yesterday. Of course, I'm rocking my Boston Celtics hat. They're trying to repeat. Of course, they won Banner 18 last year. Still on cloud 9 about that for sure. But they play last night against the New York Knicks, as well as the Minnesota Timberwolves took on the LA Lakers. So if I get some time at the end, I'll see how I'm feeling. I'll make sure to get into some of that stuff as well with you guys on the platform. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to now get into our L&B segment for tonight. Now, with that being said, of course, the matchup is set. The Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And before we get into this overall matchup, because I know Isaiah, my co-host, would love to come on and we get the chance to kind of talk together about it. I wanted to give my overall appreciation to the two teams that were the runners-up in the ALCS and the NLCS. The Cleveland Guardians took on the New York Yankees in the ALCS. And, I know a lot of people were kind of talking about the Yankees and, the teams that they faced to get to this World Series. And as myself as a Red Sox fan, I know it's tough for me to defend my rival's team. But in no way this was an easy path. They had to take on the Kansas City Royals in the first series that they had. And yes, the Royals and the Guardians aren't great offenses. They have some stars, but they're not like, you look at a team like the Dodgers that are about to face right now, they're not like the stacked, loaded type of lineups. But they're able to have other things that could present the Yankees some challenges. In the first series, the Kansas City Royals had arguably three of the best pitchers up there. I'm not saying in baseball, but up there in baseball. With Cole Reagans, Seth Lugo, and, Brady Singer, missing the other one. That might come to me. We'll see. But regardless, the Royals have a really good starting rotation. I knew that the Yankees were a better team on paper. And, it's not their fault that the AL was a lot weaker in the postseason. And the teams that they faced were knocked out early. Their nemesis, the Houston Astros, was knocked out against the Detroit Tigers on the first round. And the Baltimore Orioles were the other team that had a possibility of giving the Yankees a potential challenge. And they got swept once again this year to the Kansas City Royals. So theoretically, the two teams from the AL Central beat two of the teams that were probably going to be giving the Yankees more of a challenge than the teams that they beat. So, as they say sometimes in sports, sometimes you got to get a little lucky. And that's what happened. They were fortunate, and they deserve it. They got here for a reason. So now they're here, and the Guardians series, I will say, it looked a little bit like Kansas City series, at least in the first half of the series. The Guardians were down a ton in a lot of these games to start in the first two games in New York. And then the Guardians somehow made it interesting. I'll give them that, because I didn't think that they had it in them to. I knew they were a great team, and I knew that they were a pesky team. What I didn't know specifically is, at least in the first two games of that series, I knew from the first inning that the games were over. From the first inning. That should never happen. You shouldn't be able to tell me in a game of baseball, in a playoff game, after the first inning, a game should be over. Yeah, and maybe the Guardians were down on a couple of runs. But one, they were facing some of the Yankees' best pitchers that they had to get ahead. You had to get ahead and play on your pace. You see, when it comes to the playoffs, it comes down to setting the tone and setting the tone early. That's what the Yankees did in a ton of these games in the playoffs, was they set the tone. Now in game 3, the Guardians were able to play with a little pride here. They were down, and they clawed back and somehow had a thrilling win that I think most people, including Yankee fans, were stunned about. Yankees are up 5-3. Luke Weaver, who has been absolutely nails all entire postseason. One guy on, bottom 9, 2 outs. Now, Noel, pinch hitter, coming off the bench, big power bat, which I don't know why they didn't use him a ton in the first couple games. But then you remember, Noel was like one of his last 16, 17 coming into game 3. So Stephen Vogt, who, by the way, I give him a lot of credit for, Stephen Vogt decided to go with Noel and pretty much was like, all right, we're down 2-0 in the series. We need to have some type of jolt. Maybe this guy can have it. He's a big guy. He's a bulky guy. Yeah, he has a lot of swing missing him. But one bad pitch from Weaver, who, I mean, for the Yankees specifically, as great as their bullpen was, they were using it consistently because they were in so many close games. And yes, it's great to win in a lot of close games in the playoffs, but you have to be able to keep some arms rusty. And the Yankees tried. And they tried to go with Weaver in game 3 to try to go from 3-0 and try to go for that sweep to advance the World Series. After, by the way, the Guardians were up early on this game. It was 2-0. And Aaron Judge, of course, I think for most fans in baseball, think he's arguably in the MVP, including myself. I think he's the AL MVP. I know, obviously, he's had his criticism in the playoffs. And this is where my conversation with Aaron Judge comes into play. Because he wasn't great in this series against the Guardians. He was under 200 batting average. But what he did was he had some timely hits, and the second one was timely as ever at the point in time. 1 out, I think it was 1 or 2 outs. I don't remember. Yankees were down by 2 runs. So the tie and run up. Kruse was pitching. Kruse, who's been arguably one of the most dominant closers in baseball, not only this year but in past years. He's absolutely disgusting. 100-mile-an-hour cutters on the black. Now I know that he's not. I know his catching partner, Austin Hedges, had some interesting comments saying that he is Mariano Rivera-esque. Slow your roll. But Aaron Judge, 2 strikes on him, goes opposite field on like a 96, 97 mile, I don't know, it was a cut fastball probably right on the outside, line drive, game tie homer, Yankees tie it. Next batter up, Giancarlo Stanton, who probably was the Yankees' best hitter in this series and in the postseason. And I'll get into Giancarlo very, very shortly. But Aaron Judge needed, out of anybody specifically in that Yankees line, Aaron Judge needed a jolt, and he did. On the road, too. Giancarlo Stanton, next guy up, boom. Back-to-back against Emmanuel Clase. That is so tough to do. I don't care who you are, but against a closer, the best closer apparently, and he parks it out of there. Gets the Yankees ahead, 3-2. Yankees tack on more run, an extra run in the top of the 9th. Gleyber Torres had a sac fly. No, I'm remembering. So Noel comes up, 2 guys on. No, 1 guy, I'm sorry. Bottom 9, 2 outs. Boom. Parks one out. Great call by Brian Anderson, if you haven't heard it yet. Big Christmas is his nickname. And, man, he put an absolute present at that point in time for Guardian fans to give potentially a glimmer of hope and to maybe think that there's a potential chance in the series. We go to extras. Yankees don't score in the top half. David Fry in the bottom half against Clay Holmes. David Fry had a homer in the series prior against the Tigers, and he got another chance to maybe send the Guards home happy for a change. And what did he do? He went out, walk-off homer, Guardians win. So from the point of potential defeat for the Guards to the Yankees getting that, back to the Guards winning that, Yankees go up 2-1 in this series as we now welcome Isaiah into the program. But the Yankees then following that afterward, they had 2 more games in Cleveland. Game 4 happened where Don pitched. He was phenomenal. And then, Giancarlo Stanton. He was by far the one guy that the Guardians could not get out. Just couldn't get out. In the game where Tanner Beebe pitched, in the game specifically to get the Yankees to the World Series, Beebe was fantastic. He was just absolutely cruising. I think he went 11 in a row. And Giancarlo worked a really good at bat. But he did strike out on the first 2 at-bats that he had against Beebe. But at that point in time, the Guards were up in that game 2-0. He was about to have his final at-bat. Now, Jazz Chisholm, who had a really rough series, was going to be the next guy after him. And I thought to myself, if there's any guy specifically that you're going to hang one against, you better not hope it's him. Because one bad pitch leads to potentially something that goes out. And his off-speed was phenomenal until that overall batter. And I told myself, don't hang one. And what happens? He hangs one. And man, Giancarlo, who has not been missing any type of pitches across the middle of the plate, he deposits one. And I think from that point in time, I knew it was the Yankees for them to lose. They were able to come back in some of these games, and the Guardians just had it. They gave them a tough test, but at the end of the day, the Yankees were just a better team. And then Juan Soto comes up in the top of the 11th inning, and the bottom half did its job against Gaddis. Gets to the top half. Wells worked a great walk in that bottom half, by the way, leading up to the moment and potential legacy, at least to this point in time, of Juan Soto. And the reason why the Yankees needed a star to match with Aaron Judge. He comes up in the top half of the inning. He works about a 7-8 pitch at bat. He's legitimately nodding after almost every single pitch to Gaddis and legitimately giving the death stare of, all right, buddy, it's on. It's on. I'm not missing anything. Gaddis does a high-up fastball. Soto absolutely deposits one. Watches the ball go for a ride. Into the seats. 3-run homer. Yankees go crazy. Bottom half of that. Luke Weaver. 1-2-3 save. No, I'm sorry. Well, he gets the save. And that's all she wrote. Yankees defeat the Guardians. Going to the World Series. National League side. Dodgers, Mets. I'm really shocked how lopsided a lot of these games were. Back and forth. Dodgers won in 6 games. And I think that me and you and my other co-host and my other program, who I did the baseball program with, I knew this year was going to go deep. But I just had some type of feeling that the Dodgers were just the better team. And they showed it. So I want to congrats Lauro, and we're going to have a World Series preview special. We're going to talk about the World Series tonight in my program. But we're also going to talk about it with Lauro tomorrow, because Lauro's a Dodgers fan. And we're going to go into the ins and outs of everything tomorrow. And I know that, Isaiah, you and Lauro already did a World Series preview, which, by the way, you guys are great at. But I got to get to my hat to the Mets. I know that obviously the Dodgers were the team that everybody's going to talk about, and we're going to obviously get into this anticipated World Series that I'm chomping at the bit, despite that my rival. If you told me, I say that I'm excited for my rival in a World Series, I'm still salty, but I'm looking at it and just looking at it on the matchup, and it's like, ugh, I've needed this for so long. And for people that want baseball to be a dying sport, you guys can, I won't say the rest, but, you know, yeah, the Mets were a fantastic run. From a team that was 0-4 to start the season to Jorge Lopez essentially throwing his glove into the dugout in May or June and saying that this is the worst baseball team in the MLB. He leaves. They bring in JD Martinez around June. They were 10 games back of 500. JD essentially said to the media that they're making the playoffs. The Mets stayed to their word. Oh my God, the grimmest part in the second half of the season. And it goes to the playoffs. They need to at least win a couple of games in their rivals ballpark, which they've struggled in for so many years. They find a way to take one of the doubleheader games after the Hurricane with the heroics of Francisco Lindor. They go in Milwaukee. They need to win 2 out of 3 to advance to the NLDS. Pete Alonso, who has not been doing anything throughout the year, has a massive go-ahead throw-in homer against Devin Williams. They go to the NLCS against one of the best teams in baseball in the National League side, the Philadelphia Phillies. They absolutely cruise against the Phillies, and they come up 2 games away from making the World Series. In a potential year between David Stearns and Steve Cohen, where it was a, in quote, rebuild year or a transition. And man, now they have a foundation. And we could talk about the offseason, and the winter meetings and stuff after the World Series. But just talk about the Mets quick is what happens now. Do they keep Pete Alonso, who is obviously going to not only be one of their big free agent pieces, but, do they want to go for Juan Soto? That's going to be a massive thing to ask about. But now, since I talked a little bit here, I'll take it to my co-host here, Isaiah. Isaiah, hope you're doing well, my friend. Before I get into this overall World Series matchup, how's everything? And what do you think about these championship series? Because I know we really haven't talked about it yet together. But what do you think here?
Man, well, first of all, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. I mean, what a weekend of sports that we had. I mean, the Georgia-Texas game, all the NBA or the NFL stuff. The NBA coming back. My Lakers looking like absolute championship contenders. The Celtics dominating tonight. We had some great stuff. And then you talk about baseball. I mean, baseball, a lot of the the matchups weren't really that close in a lot of these games, but I think we ultimately got what we wanted. And I've been wanting Yankees Dodgers World Series since 2017. That's like 7 to 8 years. I've been wanting that matchup, and we almost got it in 2017, but we got robbed of it because of the Houston Astros, and then later on we find out that they were cheating. But now the wait is over. We got it, man. I cannot wait for this World Series. I think I was telling Low Roll this when we were on the air on Sunday when we did a little reaction show to us getting the World Series. Listen, I told everybody this. To all my family members, to all my friends, to all my coworkers that might be, have my number or follow me on social media, don't text me, don't call me, don't bother me during the game because I am going to be MIA. I won't be answering because I am watching every second, every hour, every minute of this World Series, even the pregame show, even the postgame show, because this is going to be the best World Series, I think, of our lifetimes. That's how great and legendary this World Series is going to be. Like, you have Yankees, Dodgers. You have New York versus LA, 2 of the biggest markets in all of sports, representing. You have Yankees and Dodgers, 2 of the most iconic franchises, not just in baseball, but in all of sports, going at it. And then you look at the matchup. You have star power on both sides. You have Judge, Shohei, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Yamamoto, Garrett Cole. to name a few. And then you have two managers that have been just scrutinized and criticized every single year, and every single one of their fan bases have wanted those two managers fired at some point during their tenures as the managers of their team, despite having great success. And then, you just think about all the storylines, right? You think about Judge and Ohtani, obviously. You think about Yankees, Dodgers. You think about, Boone versus Dave Roberts. But I think there's one big storyline that nobody's paying attention to, is Yamamoto and Shohei versus the team that they stiffed in their free agency. Remember, the Yankees were hot after Shohei and after Yamamoto. The Yankees, especially with Yamamoto, the Yankees were hot after him. And, the Yankees presented him with an amazing offer, but he chose to go to the Dodgers to play with his Japanese teammate, and he chose to go to the Dodgers, and they swooped in last minute. So I'm going to be interested to see how the reaction is when Yamamoto pitches at Yankee Stadium, or when Shohei steps to the plate at Yankee Stadium. It's definitely going to be amazing. But Yankee Stadium, Dodger Stadium, New York, LA, I mean, it's going to be amazing, man. This is going to be the best World Series of our lifetimes, and I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait for Friday, man. Friday just cannot come soon enough. But yeah, it's going to be fabulous. And man, I'm just so stoked just even talking about it, because wow, I'm hoping that we get this World Series. Not only does it live up to the hype, I'm hoping every game is like a nail biter to the end, which I think it will be. And I think that every game, I'm hoping, and every game of this series comes down to just comes down to the wire. And I hope this series honestly comes down to like a game 7, because if it comes down to a game 7, I think that this will be every bit worth the hype and even more.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to be repeating a bunch of stuff that you and Laura have talked about in your program before, but I just want to say this in terms of baseball last year. And I know that obviously your Rangers were playing last year against the Diamondbacks, but were a lot of people really heavily invested in that overall World Series matchup compared to what potentially we could be seeing overall for this year. And I know a lot of people are going to be complaining about, well, you have two of the potential big markets out there, potentially maybe some of the big bandwagoner type of teams, that want to kind of go this and that. Well, if you're one of those people that was complaining about, last year kind of being boring, why are you essentially kind of making the same point of like a different type of argument for something like this? As myself as a Red Sox fan, the Yankees, my rival, are on the World Series for the first time in 15 years. Am I upset that's happening? No, not really. I mean, until they win it, maybe I might be a little salty. But regardless, you have Aaron Judge, who has not been in the World Series yet. You have Shohei Ohtani, who has not been in the World Series yet. And by the way, Isaiah, Shohei Ohtani, in his first year going in the playoffs, is in the World Series. I think people have to realize that. The best player in baseball didn't even pitch this year, is in the World Series. Absolutely crazy. But then you talk about the other guys around him. Mookie Betts, he's trying to get another pennant. Of course, he won one in 2018 with the Red Sox, and he won in 2020 with the Dodgers for their championship during the COVID season. Freddie Freeman, I know he hasn't been healthy, but he definitely can be still a force. Now, because obviously some of the layoff, maybe he's been able to kind of rest up a little bit. Like you mentioned about Yamamoto, the Dodgers obviously last year were bounced because not enough pitching. You kind of were thinking maybe it was going to be the same case this year because Tyler Glasnow went down, a bunch of guys were kind of down. You thought it was going to be the same exact story this year. But got to give credit to Dave Roberts, and I know you were talking with Laura about it, Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone, two guys that have been heavily scrutinized for many years. They finally get the chance to go against each other in a World Series. So you got two big markets. You got two teams that have been a massive World Series drought and two teams that really want to ring. So I think that it's just going to be made to go the distance. And I'll ask you specifically shortly in terms of who you have, and anybody that is joining and is watching, feel free to put your World Series predictions in here. We would love to see those for sure. But yeah, I mean, the talent's going to be out there, out of this world. I bet, Isaiah, that not even baseball fans are going to be starting to tune into this overall series by the end of it, because it's going to give that amount of hype. Like you were talking about, you're going to be watching every single thing in the pregame, every single thing in the postgame, commercials. I mean, heck, I don't blame you. It's going to be crazy. You just don't know in terms of what's going to be keeping going next. Once we're in the bottom half of the inning, boom, changing the top half. Both of these lineups are scary good. Managers, I mean, they're kind of very similar, I guess, in a way. But, that's kind of what's making it interesting. And I think Aaron Boone, as much as I don't think he's great per se, I got to tip my cap to him. I thought he wasn't bad this year in the playoffs. I thought for the most part he was good. But for me, I know, little Isaiah, it looks like you want to say something quick. So before I get into my rest of my thought, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I want to add is I think that these two teams are kind of like a mirror image of each other. They both are very powerful offensively, top to bottom, 1 through 9. They both have immense star power, Soto and Judge and Stanton on the Yankees. And then for the Dodgers, you have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani. And then the pitching staff is kind of similar as well. You have like the top two with Yamamoto and Flaherty. And then the Yankees, you have Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. And then after that, it's kind of like you don't know what's going to be the rotation. I think me and Laura were talking about this. I think it comes down to really who wins. If you're the Dodgers, can you win one of the Cole and the Rodon starts? That's what's going to really break the series. And then if you're the Yankees, it's pretty much the same thing. Can you win a start or two where the opposing team, the Dodgers, have their established starters? Because we might see bullpen games for game 3, maybe game 4. We have like Luis Hill or whatever, but you don't really trust either Hill. You don't trust Marcus Stroman. For the Dodgers, it's kind of the same thing. Walker Buehler's been up and down. Landon Knack, he would be pitching in his first ever World Series. He's pitching in his first career postseason. So, like, there's a lot of unknowns after the first two. And then the bullpen is pretty much similar. Blake Trinan, the closer for the Dodgers, he resurrected his career, came out of nowhere, took the job over. Now he's closing games for the Dodgers. Luke Weaver, same thing. He came out of nowhere, resurrected his career. Like these two teams are just like similar mirror images of each other. And like the manager, same thing. Both of these two managers have been criticized heavily in the past. Both teams or fan bases wanted their manager fired at one point in time. So it's going to be very interesting. And I think that it definitely is going to make for an amazing, just legendary, incredible World Series.
Yeah, 100% agree. Flaherty, I know he obviously was kind of struggling in the NLCS. Really good one start. Another start wasn't so great. He was saying afterward, apparently, that he wasn't feeling great. I don't want to say anything in terms about that, but let's just say it's been very up and down with him. Yamamoto, similar, but I think Yamamoto, I trust a little bit more right now. His stuff in that last game was absolutely disgusting. So I think that he's going to keep on going with that. But when it comes to World Series, I know the playoffs, obviously, it's a really big thing, but the World Series, everybody's watching you. The stakes just go another level. And I think that's where I know Aaron Judge, of course, has had his scrutiny for so many years in terms of being a playoff choker, this and that. And for myself as a Red Sox fan, I think that Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani are bound to be going back and forth. They're going to be pretty much the heads, I guess, of the snakes, if you want to call it. But just the two teams that have the Avengers with the back and forth power on both sides, a lineup wise, crazy deep. And, we finally get the chance to see this. Matchup, and I can't wait. Now, before we get into our NFL segment here, what do you think? Prediction. So for me, and this is not me being against as a Red Sox fan, hoping the Yankees lose, even though I want them to. But taking my whole bias into my own bias aside, I'm going with the Dodgers in 7 games. I think it's going the distance. I think both teams are really good. I think that both teams deserve to be in the spot. But I think it's going to come down to one thing, and that's the bullpen. The Yankees had to face a lot of guys in their bullpen throughout this whole entire playoff run. And I feel like a lot of guys are going to be really worn down. I know that obviously we're still kind of in the stretch right now of the kind of some off time before the World Series. But, Luke Weaver pitched a lot. Clay Holmes pitched a lot. And who's the next guy that can take that next step? Weaver's obviously, we know what he can bring. Clay Holmes, very consistent. The Dodgers in their pen and the NLCS were phenomenal. And obviously their starting production as well. I think, like I said, it's going to be, it's really hard to kind of take a weakness from one of the sides and say which one's better than other. Like, I'm essentially saying Dodgers in 7, but it could definitely be the other way around for sure. But I think it's going to come down to, I feel like the Dodgers have a little bit more firepower in their lineup, especially on the back end of it. Once the Yankees are pretty much out from like the 6th hole on, I think the Dodgers are better in there. And I think the bullpen, the Dodgers have a couple more pieces besides, what the Yankees have at the top half. So for me, I'm going to go Dodgers in 7. How about you?
At first I said Dodgers in 7 when we did our instant reaction show to get us getting this World Series. I've had a couple days now to kind of sit there and just stew over it and just think about it in depth. I agree with you. It's going to go 7 games, but just thinking about this matchup, how both teams are just so even and how it's really just going to take maybe like one game to kind of break it. It's at Dodger Stadium, game 7. I gotta switch my pick. I gotta go with the Yankees. I just think that, it's gonna be so even, but right now, I don't trust the Dodgers, back end of their rotation. And I think that it's really gonna come down to, game 1, you got Flaherty versus Cole. It's going to be a great pitching matchup, but I trust Garrett Cole over Jack Flaherty. And I think that, like I said, for the Yankees, if they can win one of those Flaherty Yamamoto starts, it really turns the tide, because let's say you win one of those starts, right? You have a game under your belt, and then, the Dodgers are going to definitely be pitching Buehler in a game 3, and then you have potentially bullpen game in a game 4. That's really, I think, what's going to break it. And it's vice versa, the same thing. But in game 1, I trust Garrett Cole over a Jack Flaherty. Yamamoto's, he's kind of been like, he's been very good in the postseason, but the thing is that, and he's been very good against the Yankees, but, I think that the power of the Yankees is definitely going to shine in this series. I just don't trust that Dodgers bottom of the rotation that they're going to be throwing out in games 3 and 4 to be able to stifle this Yankee offense. And, with Aaron Judge, listen, the Yankees, history, you have all these legends, right? You have all these legends like Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jorge Posada, Derek Jeter. All of those guys have won World Series. Like Aaron Judge, this is his first World Series. He has a chance to cement himself as not only one of the best players in Yankees history, but potentially the greatest slugger in Yankees history, because that's how great of a slugger he is. And if he wins it, I think he's going to be up there, in that Monument Park, after he retires. So I expect a massive series from Judge. I expect a massive series from Ohtani. Juan Soto always comes through in the postseason, so you expect a massive series from him. Garrett Cole, I think he's going to be great. He's always fared well against the Dodgers, so I think that translates. And then the bullpens, Blake Trinan, he's very good. But outside of that, I still have a lot of trust issues with that bullpen. The Yankees bullpen, Luke Weaver, we know what he brings at the back end of the bullpen. But I trust them a little bit more than I do with the Dodgers. But I think, like you mentioned, it comes down to the big stars and also the supporting cast, like who can step up. Like in the NLCS, it was Tommy Edman who stepped up for the Dodgers, Andy Pages as well. And I think me and Laurel talked about this, like, it's going to be one or two players outside of the stars that steps up. And, for the Yankees and the Dodgers, it's going to be who really comes down to, like, who really steps up. So I gotta go with Yankees in 7. I think it's going to be a hotly contested series. It's going to be very even until the final game. And Garrett Cole in a game 7 against potentially Yamamoto or Jack Flaherty. Give me Garrett Cole any day of the week because he's been there. He's done it. He's been through that pressure cooker. He knows what it takes. Give me Garrett Cole in a potential game 7.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. We can't wait. We got some great comments here, and we got one from Laura Antonio, of course, our Dodger fan. Laura, I'm riding the same train as you, my friend. Dodgers in 7. We'll have to see in terms of where that goes from here. David Tito Rivera, thanks, David, for joining my program. Really appreciate it. He says, as a Padres fan, I'm going for the Yankees, even though the Dodgers are representing California. I would never go for them in my lifetime. Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand it.
That makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense. So, we'll have to see. We're really excited, and that's going to be a great overall matchup. If you guys want to see more content with me and Isaiah, make sure to join us tomorrow night. We will have more of an in-deep depth show of this overall stuff. So more of our stuff about this is going to keep on going. We're going to have a ton of coverage about this throughout the week because, like we talked about already, this is going to be one of the most highly anticipated World Series that we have seen in a very long time. And man, we cannot wait. All right, so going from baseball to now NFL, and we could kind of recap some of our stuff from NFL Week 7. We'll obviously talk about the Chiefs and Niners. Obviously, some really tough news coming from the Niners front. But I do want to talk about some wide receiver moves and some guys that are now on the move. There was obviously a linebacking trade as well that happened today. But there was one that broke this morning kind of out of the blue when I woke up around, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And that was DeAndre Hopkins. All of a sudden just got traded out of nowhere. Now, this was obviously a week beforehand. We had two receivers, Devontae Adams going to the New York Jets. He had his debut with the Jets on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And on the same exact day, Cleveland Browns, former Browns receiver Amari Cooper got traded over to the Buffalo Bills and helped Josh Allen with that win on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. Amari Cooper in his debut was phenomenal. He had a touchdown. Devontae Adams in his debut, 3 catches, was okay, but obviously he was a little rusty because he has not been playing in a while. I do expect that chemistry between him and Rodgers is going to get better throughout the remainder of the season. Today, DeAndre Hopkins, of course, he is right now. He was just with the Tennessee Titans. They are going to be absolutely rebuilding, and they're not going anywhere this year. So they decided to trade him today to who else but the Kansas City Chiefs. And man, the rich get richer, as I've mentioned earlier on the program. DeAndre Hopkins gets to go to a place now where I feel like it's coming kind of replacing Rashee Rice's role because Rashee Rice is obviously out for the remainder of the year. But Hopkins and Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to create a massive connection together. I know that obviously Mahomes has kind of had a slow start, kind of given his overall standards, but the Chiefs are still doing the Chiefs things. They're winning by their defense. They're winning by a lot of other things, and that's what makes them great. So really quickly before we get into the Week 8 picks, Isaiah, I wanted to ask you, what do you feel about those 3 moves between Devontae Adams to the Jets, Amari Cooper to the Bills, DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs, and if you had to make essentially your favorite move from this and the most impactful move from the three of these, which one do you think it is? Because you look at all three, and they're all three teams. Well, one team essentially that's 2-5. That's essentially trying to get themselves back into the contention mix. But the two other teams are essentially trying to go back and forth with each other, at the top of the AFC conference. So, what do you think? How do you feel about these overall moves from the three teams? And yeah, what do you think?
Well, I think that this signals, Ben, that we might be in for the most wild and wacky trade deadline we've seen in a while. I mean, the trade deadline is November 5th. I think that's like in a couple of weeks, and you're already seeing moves left and right. And I don't know if you saw this, but I woke up yesterday to the bombshell that the Vikings and Rams were reportedly in trade talks on a deal that could send Matthew Stafford to the Vikings. And the Vikings would ditch Sam Darnold. And then you have news come out that Cooper Kupp is on the trade block. The Rams are shopping him all over the place. Also don't forget, there's been rumblings about Max Crosby getting traded by the Raiders. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. It's crazy what's going on. Cortland Sutton might also be traded because of his lack of involvement with the Denver Broncos offense. This is going to be one of the most wacky and wild trade deadlines we've seen. And think about this. Like, we could have fireworks with the World Series, or we're going to have fireworks with the World Series. We could also have fireworks at the same time in the NFL as the fireworks are going off in MLB with the World Series. So if you have Twitter on your phone, keep those notifications on, because at any given moment, any bombshell might break like we saw this morning. But in terms of these moves, I think for the Jets, the Bills, and the Chiefs, sadly, they all got better. I mean, for the Jets, like Devontae Adams to New York really unlocks their entire offense, because I felt like the offense was kind of stagnant, and I felt like the offense was kind of clogged with just Garrett Wilson and with Breece Hall. I felt like the Jets needed another true threat, another dynamic playmaker opposite of Garrett Wilson to help unlock Garrett Wilson, because right now a lot of the attention is on Garrett Wilson. They're getting into the box and stopping Breece Hall. But now you add Devontae Adams. You cannot double cover and triple cover Garrett Wilson anymore, because then you have Devontae Adams to beat you, and vice versa. You can't double cover and triple cover Devontae Adams, because then you got Garrett Wilson who can beat you on the outside as well. And if you try to stop the passing game, well, guess what? They can just run the ball right down your throat with Breece Hall. So I really think for the Jets, it comes down to, can their offensive line hold up? Because against the Steelers, they were getting whooped on the offensive line, and Rodgers had no time to throw. But if he has time to throw, if that offensive line can hold up, I mean, this might be one of the most scary offenses we've seen in the NFL, with Devontae Adams, with Garrett Wilson, with Conklin, who is a decent playmaker, and then Breece Hall. Like, it definitely opens up a lot of stuff. As far as the Bills are concerned, with Amari Cooper, I still don't know why, Ben. They gave up that pick with the Chiefs to let the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy. Like, I know Worthy has not been playing that well, but still, it's like, what are you doing, man? It makes no sense. You needed number one receiver. There was a lot of great receivers in this past draft. Why did you not go and get one of the top receivers in the draft? And now you have to spend more draft capital and also more salary to go get Amari Cooper from the Cleveland Browns. Like, I think it's a good move, because now it gives Josh Allen a very reliable target, and it's kind of like an arms race in the AFC East, where the Bills, the Jets are all like making moves to try to counter each other. I think it's great. But I just don't get that. Like, why you could have gotten a cheaper wide receiver and a talented wide receiver at a cheaper cost than you would have with Amari Cooper. But I think Amari Cooper will be great with with the Buffalo Bills, because he gives Josh Allen a reliable target to throw to. In Cleveland, there was like nothing, because Deshaun Watson's obviously very, very lost, and prayers up to him. Obviously you don't want to see anybody get injured at any time, but I think that, like, with the Chiefs, I mean, with the Bills, I think he definitely will explode now that he has a quarterback who can throw him the ball. And then with the Hopkins move, I mean, I woke up this morning, Ben, and I was already online because I was working on some stuff, but I was online and I was thinking about to myself, like, the Niners need a receiver because Ayuk went down. I was like, maybe DeAndre Hopkins could be like the perfect fit, and we need like a splash trade to kind of turn the season around, because the last time our season was kind of in disarray like this, the Niners put off the Christian McCaffrey trade, and then all of a sudden you started having good vibes back in San Francisco again. And then I saw on Twitter that Adam Schefter. First off, I thought that Adam Schefter tweet was fake. I was like, I had to double check it and triple check it to make sure it was real. And then I saw it was real, and I was like, dude, that's just like, damn it, man. That's just so. It's so painful because the Chiefs, Mahomes was missing one thing, and that was a reliable target. That's why the offense was not that good. They were double and triple covering Kelsey. And now you give him DeAndre Hopkins, who, like, the Tennessee Titans for the longest time, like, never wanted to trade him. You could have traded him last year, but you didn't. And now you give Mahomes a stud wide receiver, the caliber of DeAndre Hopkins. And now that opens up passing lanes for Travis Kelsey. That opens up, Xavier Worthy. It just really unlocks their offense. And I mean, the Chiefs, it sucks because now the Chiefs, they're going to be back in contention. Their offense, their defense is already playing well. They're 6-0, and their offense is not up to their standards. And now their offense is going to explode with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. So it's just, I was just going through a bunch of feelings this morning when I saw it. And plus, they gave him a 4th round pick. Are you serious? If you're the Titans, you should be ashamed of yourself getting that little back in return. You gave up a 4th round pick, and plus you're paying some of DeAndre Hopkins' salary for him to go to Kansas City. It's like the Titans just want the Chiefs to win another Super Bowl because they're basically handing him to the Kansas City Chiefs for free.
I agree. And, the thing about the Chiefs, too, is they're going to be getting Pacheco back soon. It reminds me of actually one of the Patriots teams in the dynasty where they relied a lot on coaching and a lot on their defense. And, you just have to tip to the cap, I guess. They've been winning ugly a lot of these games. They haven't really been pulling away like they were accustomed to kind of the early Patrick Mahomes days. But, they just talk about winning. And, you just kind of have to find a way to kind of grind these out games and win. And that's what happened. So that's the 3 moves that I wanted to kind of break apart. Cooper Kupp, I forgot to mention that, Isaiah. So thank you for mentioning that to me. According to Diane Rossini from The Athletic, Cooper Kupp has not requested a trade, but there's a lot of his camp with the Rams. The Rams are obviously a team that's kind of going through it, I guess, as well. And he might be looking for a trade partner. There's been some calls out there. Did you also see the Garrett Wilson from Adam Schefter that currently there was teams that called for Garrett Wilson and everybody hung up? So that just pretty much just tells you, like you mentioned, this could be a massive NFL trade deadline, and we're not even there yet. And that 3 essentially of the best receivers in the game are already going to be on different teams. And you don't see that often. A lot of the times in NFL trade deadline, it's maybe one big move or something. That's kind of it. But you're seeing some guys that can still play that I think are going to really help. Devontae Adams, definitely. Amari Cooper, definitely. DeAndre Hopkins, definitely. What does those 3 people have in common? They're all number 1 receivers. It's really hard to have now in the day of game. And I know you're talking about Cooper Kupp maybe becoming potential Niner now with the unfortunate news of Brandon Ayuk being down for now the remainder of the season. Man, Brandon Ayuk, talk about just tough luck. Trying to get out of there in the offseason for a trade. Nothing worked out. He decided to come back. Had a ton of drop problems early on the season. And unfortunately now he goes down with injury. So we transition over to before Week 8 picks. Let's do the winners and losers from Week 7 because we have not done this in a long time. We're now going to kind of get back to the swing of things. I was thinking about that as we were talking. We got to do some of the winners and losers. So really quick, I'm going to go through the final scores of Week 7 here. So the Patriots lost once again. What a shocker. But Drake May continues to play really good football. The Jaguars defeat the Patriots 32-16. I'm sorry. Let's go. I guess I'm just doing it from the Yahoo Sports. We'll be doing it for Monday Night Football back to Sunday, I guess. So the two Monday night games were the Cardinals and the Chargers. Cardinals defeated the Chargers by the final score of 17-15 on a game-winning field goal by Chad Ryland. The Baltimore Ravens continue their winning ways. They defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 41-31. Tough, really bad news for the Bucs as they're going to be losing Chris Godwin to potential season-ending surgery. Mike Evans is more likely than not going to be out until the bye or right around that by week 11, I think that it is. So I mean, the Bucs are going to be in massive shambles at the receiving position, and maybe Cooper Kupp. Who knows? That could be a potential fit. The Bucs, who are kind of a team that's definitely still right there in the mix, maybe looking at a guy like Kupp. The New York Jets get blasted by Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers. 37-15. The Jets are up in the first half, and they give a combined unanswered of like 25 plus points in the second half. So I don't know what in the hell is going on with the New York Jets. So called for this Aaron Rodgers savior so far. It has not been as planned over in Jets land for sure. The Chiefs defeated your 49ers, Isaiah, unfortunately, by the final of 28-18. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The Rams defeat the Raiders 20-15. The Washington Commanders absolutely pummeled the Carolina Panthers by the final score of 40-7. I just want to really quickly send my prayers out to Andy Dolan. Unfortunately, his family and him went through a car accident a day or two ago, and I unfortunately have been a part of one. It's just a very scary situation. And apparently he's okay. He went, I think he got arrested to the hospital right after, get tests and stuff like that. And thank God he's okay. And I don't know if he's gonna be playing on Sunday. I think it's gonna be Bryce Young, but hopefully he's okay. Jaden Daniels, by the way, as well. Despite the blowout win, he left the game early due to ribs, I'm pretty sure. The Seattle Seahawks defeated the Falcons 34-14. That was a massive shocker. I knew if the Seahawks were going to win, I thought it was going to be a lot closer than that, but the Falcons didn't show up. The Bills defeated the Titans 34-10. Bengals defeat the Browns 21-14. Packers defeat the Texans 24-22. What a game. That was obviously going to be anticipated with those two really good young quarterbacks, and CJ Stroud and Jordan Love. A game-winning field goal by Brandon McManus left the Packers over the Texans in that one. The Colts defeated the Dolphins 16-10. The Lions and Vikings, what a game. And that was obviously another anticipated game kind of coming into Sunday. And it lived up to the hype. The Vikings are now officially out of the undefeated streak. They lost their first game against the Lions, 31-29. Lions got a late game winning field goal by their kicker over in Detroit. The Eagles absolutely demolished the New York Giants 28-3. Falcon fans, I'm sorry, but I love that score. And Drew Lock, your guy, Isaiah, he got the chance to play a little bit in the second half as Daniel Jones.
Yay!
Daniel Jones was benched in the fourth quarter of that game. So Drew Lock got the chance to play a little bit. I don't really know. It was kind of garbage time minutes, but I thought about you when he came in on that game on Sunday.
And he was terrible too. First pass he threw, he had a wide open receiver, and he did what Jimmy G did against Devontae Adams.
Oh.
He threw the ball. I think the guy was standing at the Eagles' 40-yard line. He threw the ball to the Eagles' 28-yard line. He threw it like 20 yards, like overthrew it by 20 yards.
And
Sorry.
Sean Payton gets his revenge on his former team as the Broncos absolutely demolish the New Orleans Saints 33-10. The two teams that were on bye this week were the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys. So for me, the winners and losers of this week, the winner, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers were a team that, yes, they were winning some of these games, but they weren't scoring a lot of offense. And against a team that's supposed to be one of the best teams defensively, and the New York Jets, Russell Wilson came in and was not great at all. He was getting booed left and right on the field in the first half. Second half, though, man, what a different story. I know that obviously Aaron Rodgers got picked off twice, and one of the second pick kind of led to the run that the Pittsburgh Steelers had, but Russ finished it off the night. 16 of 29, 264 yards passing, 9.1 yards average attempt, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So, absolutely incredible night for Russ, kind of after that slow start. And they just got their guys involved. And congrats to the Steelers. That's one of my winners of the week. A second winner of my week is the Green Bay Packers against a really good Houston team to go and to win and protect your home field. Back and forth type of game. A game that I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're picking the Packers all in all, but I'm going to give the Packers a win on this one. So that was my second win of the week. And then my third win of the week, that's the Detroit Lions. Against the Vikings, who are undefeated, I had to go with the Lions. They've been, I think, in my mind, the best team right now in football, the Detroit Lions. Just offensively, defensively, kind of everything kind of together. I think they're one of the best teams in football. My losers of the week, here we go. 3 teams. The New England Patriots. You want to hear this, Isaiah? 17 run plays in a row against our defense.
Are you serious?
17. You heard that right.
Oh my
Not
God.
1, not 5, not 10, not 15, 17 runs. We have a ton of guys out defensively. And the Jaguars just kept on running the football. This was, by the way, without Travis Etienne. So they were doing it with a lot of their backups.
My God.
We just never stopped them. Talk about embarrassment. Thank God for Drake May. That's all. That's pretty much what's going to be holding me for the rest of the season. So that's me. That's me doing winners and losers, back to winners and losers for this week. And the Patriots, of course, my team, being the first one doing it. My second one is the Carolina Panthers. You guys, I know you guys are awful. I'm sorry. You gave up 40 points to the Commanders. You weren't even I don't know if they're going to be competitive at all. Did you see Andy Dalton's first interception, Isaiah, by any chance? I know you're obviously watching your Niners game.
No, I didn't, but I heard it was awful.
Watch the replay at one point, because I don't know, like Andy Dalton, of course, has been a veteran quarterback around the league. That first interception that he threw, I couldn't help but laugh. It was beyond disgusting. I don't know where he was throwing the ball. I looked like he was trying to throw a screen pass. Instead, it was legitimately right to Dante Fowler Jr., pick 6, and that's all she wrote from there. Awful. Talk about awful. My last loser of the week is the New York Giants. I know that the Philadelphia Eagles are your daddy. I'm sorry, but the Giants, come on, man. You just brought back the league neighbors, and you didn't put up a fight. The Eagles are a good team. Come on, but you lost by 25 points in your home building to them. I mean, come on, man. And I thought that the Giants were kind of past this now this year. Kind of early on, they looked like their offensive line was looking a lot better. It felt like they were kind of moving past this overall vibe of it's the same old Giants, the same old shit, their offensive line. And it's just not, it's the same old crap, man. They fooled me. The Giants the first couple of weeks kind of fooled me. I don't think now they're they're gonna have to kind of figure where things go from here. But yeah. The Giants, the Giants and the Jets, man. Thank God, I guess, for the Yankees and the Knicks kind of coming back and the Rangers for New York sport, because the football teams aren't doing terribly great right now. So, all right, let's go to your winners and losers. Let me see if there is any different ones that you got to that I didn't get to.
Yeah, so let's start with the winners. I think one of the biggest winners of this weekend was the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers sent a loud and clear message to the rest of the football world that, hey, all these people that are doubting us, that are saying we're frauds, including myself, I mean, the Steelers look like a real true contender in the AFC. I mean, that defense is just downright nasty. The secondary, the defensive line, the linebackers, doesn't really matter what their offense does. And listen, their offense with Russell Wilson, I thought it was better than with Justin Fields. They were running the ball effectively. And here's the thing about their offense with Wilson that was different and more potent with Wilson than it would have been with Fields. They posed more of a threat with the passing game. Anytime it was like third down and short, you would be like, okay, they're just stack the box because you don't trust Justin Fields to throw the football. Well, now you have Russell Wilson rolling out to his right and doing short passes to his tight ends or his receivers and finding guys throwing on the run. So, I was very impressed. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they just get any sort of offense with that defense, I mean, they are going to be contenders for sure. And you know what, Ben? It might be crazy, but I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Kansas City Chiefs because I think that defense will be able to hold up. It's just about that offense for the Steelers. If Russell Wilson can play like he did last year, where he doesn't turn the football over, they just run the football, they have a game manager at quarterback. I mean, with that defense, I don't think it's that far-fetched to think that the Pittsburgh Steelers can overtake the Kansas City Chiefs because Kansas City right now, offensively, they're just not that good. And I know DeAndre Hopkins is coming, but that secondary is just such a beast and so dynamic that I think that they can be able to shut down the Chiefs even with DeAndre Hopkins. So they're my biggest winner. They sent the world a loud and clear message that, hey, we are true Super Bowl contenders. Stop doubting us. The next winner that I'm gonna hand out is, I gotta give it to the Detroit Lions. Aiden Hutchinson out with that nasty injury. You could have just packed it in and been like, okay, our best pass rusher is gone. We're done. And, the Vikings got off to a great start in that game. And the Lions defense, they tightened up. They started playing really good football after that. And they really, really held Minnesota and Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson and that potent offense for the Vikings down after that, especially when I think the Lions were up by 2. The Vikings late in the game, they needed a stop to try to get the ball back and get into field goal range. And their defense was just outright amazing in that game. So props to the Detroit Lions. They played a really good football. And then my other big winner is the Arizona Cardinals. On Monday Night Football, I don't know if a lot of people caught that game because you had the Ravens and Bucks game that were on ABC and ESPN, and then the other game was just kind of like just randomly out there. But I thought the defense played very well, especially against Justin Herbert, a very talented, potent quarterback. And then Kyler Murray just made plays when he needed to be. He didn't get greedy. He just made plays when he needed to be, and they ended up winning that game over a Chargers team that's not bad. So I'll give it to the Cardinals. And then my last winner, Denver. I think Denver emerged as one of the biggest winners in the NFL. And Sean Payton going back to New Orleans, I know there was a lot of emotion there, but that defense was downright nasty in that game. Bo Nix, I think, looked the best he's looked throwing the football in that game. I know the Saints defense, there were a lot of injuries, but still, loud environment to go into New Orleans, into the Superdome, and play the way he did. Very impressive. He's a very good runner with his legs. And also, he's been, improving as a pocket passer. And you look at Denver now, Ben, I really think Denver can make a run for a wild card spot because when you look at their schedule, like they've got some two really tough games the next couple of weeks. But then after that, you're looking at like the Browns, you're looking at like the Falcons in Denver. I believe if I pull up their schedule right, I think right. Well, so this week they play the Panthers in Denver. They should easily beat the Carolina Panthers because they're just freaking awful. But then after that, you got the Chiefs and the Ravens. That's going to be tough. But remember, the Denver Broncos have had success against Patrick Mahomes defensively recently. Like they've been able to shut him down, and it's just that the offense hasn't been able to do much. But if the offense can do somewhat and be somewhat competent, I think they can win, maybe steal a game against the Chiefs. But then after those two games, you got Falcons, Raiders, Browns. Like you should absolutely win all those three games. And then you're looking at like you're gonna be, I think you're gonna be like you're gonna be 8. You're gonna have like 8 wins at that point, and then to end the season, you got the Colts, the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. And I think the last game against the Chiefs, I think Kansas City could be resting half their team because they should have clinched the AFC West in a playoff spot at that point. So I think you could definitely figure out maybe like 2 wins in that stretch. So I could see Denver easily being a 10-win team this year. And if you win 10 games in the AFC with a rookie quarterback, I mean, I think that could definitely get you into the postseason. So I think Denver's on the right track. As far as my big losers are concerned, I definitely got to give the New York Giants one of my big losers because the Philadelphia Eagles were ranked in the 20th in defense. Like they were giving up a lot of points to just bad offense. And you made the Philadelphia Eagles look like the defenses when Buddy Ryan was the head coach. I mean, goodness sake, you made Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's a really good defensive mind. Don't get me wrong. But you made Vic Fangio look like Buddy Ryan out there. That like you barely could move the ball. You couldn't run the ball. Your offensive line, I know Andrew Thomas is out, but still, you couldn't run the football. You couldn't even get any sort of offense going. Like Daniel Jones should have lost his job after that putrid performance against the Eagles. Like the Eagles defense, they're not even that good. And for you to make them look like one of the best defenses in the NFL, it's such a shame. And it's such an embarrassment what happened. I think, Ben, they got to give Drew Lock a shot. I know Drew Lock overthrew his first pass by like 20, 30 yards, but still, like, it might be better than what you're seeing from Daniel Jones. Like, heck, it can't be worse. The second biggest loser, sadly, Ben, I got to give it to your Patriots. And the reason why is because, like you mentioned, the Jaguars ran the football 17 straight times against your defense. Like I've never, ever in my life heard that before. And also, here's the thing. After the game, Gerard Mayo called out the team that he called them soft, said they were playing a soft brand of football. You don't do that publicly. You don't do that. And players, publicly disagreed with him. And now you hear the report. I don't know if you caught this, but now you hear the report from a trusted Patriots reporter that Gerard Mayo might be on the hot seat. Gerard Mayo might be one and done in New England. And it's just starting to sound like that he's making a lot of these rookie head coaches mistakes. It just sounds like the team is tuning him out, especially with him criticizing players publicly, with players not agreeing with him publicly. And then you have the report from a couple weeks back about a mutiny in the locker room with the whole, Jacoby Brissett, Drake May decision. That's something to watch out now, because if you're the Patriots, if let's say you go 1-16, or you go 2-14, you might have to make a change. If things really get ugly like that, then I think you might have to consider it. And if I'm the Patriots, if I'm Robert Kraft, I would bring in Ben Johnson, and I would be like, look, you get the Belichick powers, you get all control of football operations, and you get to rebuild the team in your image, see how it is. I think he would really help Drake May, because I think that's what you need. I don't think a defensive coach can really help a young quarterback like you have. And I think Ben Johnson, with his innovative offense, with him, being able to help a young quarterback out and play his offense to his young quarterback, I think would really help Drake May. And I think Ben Johnson, if the Patriots were to get him, I think he would be like, I feel like the offensive Belichick, maybe not winning all those Super Bowls, but I think he could be there for like the next 10 to 15 years. So if I'm Robert Kraft, I think you might have to rip the Band-Aid off at this point. And then, the last loser that I have is, it's not a team, but it's Kyle Shanahan. Like, how many times have you faced the Chiefs, and how many times have you gotten beaten by the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, you just can't beat them. And the offense just looks like crap against Kansas City for some reason. The Chiefs defense, I know they're good, but still, like, Purdy threw, I think, 3 interceptions in that game. One of the interceptions was just absolutely atrocious, especially at the goal line. The offensive line was getting pushed back left and right. Ben, I think I made this comment in our group chat. You could put 5 hippos out on the field at Levi Stadium, and they could probably block better or maybe the same than the offensive lineman. I mean, number 68 was getting pushed back every single play. How are you a lineman in the NFL? You weren't even going against Chris Jones. You were going against like some other defender, and you were getting literally just pushed on your back like every single play. It seemed like the offense number 68 thought the turf at Levi Stadium was his bed. Like, what are you doing out there? You're getting pushed on your back the whole game. It was just so pathetic to watch. But yeah, I don't know. Like Shanahan, his offenses for some reason just never work against Steve Spagnuolo, and he just needs to figure it out. And the Niners need to figure it out because right now they're 3-4. They just sadly lost Ayuk for the rest of the season. And this is why, Ben, I always say, if you pay a receiver $30 million plus, it's never going to work out because it's either they're going to get hurt or they're going to, be very rust, or they're just going to mail it in, or it just hamstrings your team and you're never going to be able to win a Super Bowl. So hope Ayuk gets back, gets well soon. But I mean, the vibes are just so down. They're 3-4 right now. The defense looks awful. The offensive line can't block. Purdy's looked awful. Debo might not play against the Dallas Cowboys. If the Niners lose against the Cowboys, it's going to be just awful. And like I said earlier, this reminds me of back in 2021 when everything seemed to be going down the tubes and the Niners, they weren't really doing that well. Offense was having a lot of issues. Defense was having a lot of issues. Then they went out and made the splash trade for Christian McCaffrey. I think that's what they need. They need to do something to shake things up and bring better energy into the building. That's why I think Cooper Kupp would be a great fit, especially at wide receiver. Imagine this. Imagine if McCaffrey comes back. Imagine you have Debo with his athleticism, his route running, and his ability to run the football in the backfield. And then you add Cooper Kupp with Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel, the versatility, the athleticism, the speed. That would be borderline unbeatable if you're the Niners. So I think you got to do something like that. And then I know I said the Niners were my last loser, but I got to give an honorary loser. I know they were on their bye week, but somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys are on a bye and they lost their bye. Did you see these comments by Jerry Jones on his radio show? Jerry Jones criticized the Cowboys' offensive scheme. And you know who calls the plays and designs the plays for the Cowboys? Mike McCarthy, your head coach. And he said in this quote right here, we're designing bad plays or we're designing bad play offensive concepts. Take a look at that quote again. I've never seen an owner ever say this. We're designing bad plays or we're designing bad concepts. So you're basically saying your coach is shit, basically. So, what are you doing, Jerry? Mike McCarthy was already on the hot seat. Now you're criticizing his offensive game planning and his offensive play calling. Dude, you're Mike McCarthy, he's going to be done. If I'm at Mike McCarthy, you might as well just mail it in and just be you know what? Screw this owner. He's criticizing every single part of my team, and now he's criticizing my ability to draw offensive plays. Jerry, you've never drawn an offensive play in your life, dude. Come on, man.
And another thing is, too, with that, is he decided to bring Mike McCarthy back for another year. And now you want to throw him under the bus? It's you can't make 2 rounds with the right. You talk about an absolute clown show. The Dallas Cowboys on and off the field absolutely embody that type of clown show. And you mentioned they somehow lost the bye. And funny enough how you said that, Isaiah, because there was an actual tweet out that apparently the Cowboys lost specifically, and it was all these memes on the comments or whatever. It was so funny. I just love to see the Cowboys in absolute shambles. It just makes me so happy for some odd reason. But
Ben, you know what's funny is recently we've had a lot of just a lot of clown actions in the NFL. I mean, last week we literally did extra point and we had like 4 topics basically of clown stuff in the NFL, like Doug Peterson saying we need a culture change when you're literally the head coach and you're literally in charge of the culture of the team. And then you have Jerry threatening to fire people or fire sports radio hosts because they criticized his decisions. And then, you had Nick Sirianni jawing with his own fan base. And then now you have Jerry Jones saying, oh yeah, we designed bad offensive plays and bad offensive concepts. Like, your head coach is literally the offensive play caller and the offensive guy that or is in charge of the offense. Like, basically tossed him right under the bus there.
Yeah. It's absolutely a clown show for sure. But right now, Isaiah, let's get into some picks. Now we'll have the week 8 picks among us. Isaiah, if you want to get the calendar, the schedule, and the overlay here, by all means, go ahead. But I'm pretty much going to go through overall the list here. By the way, I do greatly appreciate all the people that have been joining tonight. Got some comments here throughout the program. If anybody is watching that would like to comment in, I would greatly appreciate a comment at some point throughout the program. Anything that we're talking about, by all means, go ahead and we'll try to get into it. We're right now currently doing our week 8 picks, me and Isaiah, and we're going to start with the Vikings and the Rams, which is Thursday Night Football tomorrow. Sam Darnold and company lost their first game this past Sunday against the Lions. What a game that was. The Rams, they're currently kind of up and down right now. They're very inconsistent. You just kind of really don't know what type of team we're going to get. For me, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think they bounce back. I like their overall situation better over there. And Cooper Kupp, I think, is back. I'm pretty sure tomorrow. But you don't know how he's going to be 100% wise. And Puka Nacua, I think, comes back as well. I don't know if he's coming back tomorrow, but he's planning to come back soon. So the Rams might be getting some of their reinforcements back, but I do think that the Vikings right now are just constructed as the better team. So I'm going with them. How about you, Isaiah?
Well, Ben, I'm going to make my pick, and then I got a bold prediction for you for this game. For that game, I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. I think the Rams just very limited offensively. Puka Nacua is not going to come back. Cooper Kupp, I think, is back for this game. But I also think that with him coming back, he's going to be rusty, I feel like, because he hadn't played in so long. So I don't think you're going to see him a lot in this game. But Matthew Stafford is going to be there. I think that the defense for the Vikings, puts on a show in this game. And then I think Sam Darnold just does just enough to win this game. So give me the Vikings. And as far as my bold prediction, I think after this game is over, Ben, I think we're going to get a notification from Adam Schefter that, and I think you know where I'm going with this. I think that Matthew Stafford will become a Minnesota Viking because I think that I think right now, this whole thing, and I told my guy Stephen Wang this, and shout out to you, Stephen. Appreciate you for tuning in for a little bit tonight on the show. The thing with the Minnesota Vikings is the Vikings talked all offseason about how we're going to save money, how we're going to save cap space. We're just going to try to field a competitive team, and we're going to rebuild. Everything went out the window when you started 5-0. It's the same thing with the 49ers in 2019, where we expected to make the playoffs or we wanted to make the playoffs, but we didn't expect a Super Bowl run. But now you're 5-0. Like, the owner looks at this and like, man, I'm 5-0, or I was 5-0. I'm 5-1. I'm like I'm the best team in the NFL. Screw the whole we're going to save money stuff. We're going to rebuild slowly stuff. No, we're going for it. And I think this is what that is. That's why when this came out, I was like, this has the owner written all over it that they are going to throw out all the plans from the off season and just decide to, hey, you know what? We're going for it now because we've got Justin Jefferson. We've got the defense. Like, we don't know if Sam Darnold, how he's going to fare in the postseason, even though he's been so great. So I think that, because this rumor doesn't come out for no reason. The Vikings are playing the Rams at the same time. Both teams are going to be in the same building. both executives are going to be in the same building. Both owners are going to be in the same building. And with Matthew Stafford, I think if the Vikings win, I think it bolsters even more because then the owner's going to be looking at it like, man, we're 6-1. We're 6-1. We're the best team in the NFL. Like, we should go all in. So I think Matthew Stafford gets traded to the Vikings after this game, and I think it will be one of the biggest shocking bombshells we've seen in a while.
Wow. All right. So, I mean, you're kind of following up with that rumor that was put out on social media. We'll see what happens, to say least on that front. But yeah, I think that the Vikings, like we mentioned, I think they're just the better team. All right. So we got the Green Bay Packers going to Jacksonville to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars obviously had a win against the Patriots. And thank you for that, by the way. I greatly appreciate that for sure. Just kind of going through my list here on my end, but we can do the Titans Lions after. But yeah, the Packers and Jaguars. For me, I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I just love the Packers this year, and I've been picking them a lot this year, and they've been proving me right a lot so far this year with my picks. So I'm gonna keep on riding the wave. The Jaguars, I think, yeah, I know that obviously Travis Etienne is a massive part of their team. Trevor Lawrence this year, I think he's been playing a lot better recently. I also think that another thing too is like Doug Peterson is trying to hold on to his job. The Packers, Jordan Love and their offense is very dynamic. He's been really good with his decision making. I know he's obviously had some interceptions the last several weeks, but typically he's been able to use a lot with his arm. He's been able to use a lot with his legs. The running game's been effective, and the Jaguars don't have a great passing defense and a great rushing defense at all either. So I'm going to go with the Packers here, and I think the Jaguars fall another game.
Ben, give me the Jags in an upset. I think with the Green Bay Packers, listen, the Green Bay Packers are a very good team, but I think that, this has the potential to be a shootout because the Packers, I don't really trust their defense. I don't trust the Jags defense as well. That's why I think both offenses are going to put on a show in this game. It's in Jacksonville. The Jaguars are playing like a desperate team right now, trying to get back. I was very encouraged by what I saw against the Patriots. I know it's only against New England, but still, they ran the ball very well. Trevor Lawrence, like you mentioned, playing much better football as of late. I think that it's gonna come down to the wire, and I think that the Jags ultimately pull it off and win this game.
Okay. We'll have to see. All right, the Titans are going to be taking the Lions in Detroit. But the Titans are awful. They obviously just moved on from Hawkins. The Lions are one of the best teams in football. I think we're going to be pretty much on the same page here. I'm going with Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going with Detroit as well. No argument there. The Titans are awful. It's in Detroit. If it was in Tennessee, maybe I'll give them a little bit of a shot, but it's in Detroit. Detroit's rolling right now. The Titans offense, I mean, they're giving up a lot of points, a lot of yards, and they're not even moving the football. So give me Detroit in a blowout.
All right. The New York Jets will be taking on my New England Patriots. This is the second straight time this year that the two AFC East division foes go at it, but now it's going to be in New England. Listen, I would love the Patriots to have another one on my plate, and I know the Jets have been struggling the last several weeks, but I can't look at this. I mean, the defense of the Patriots for the last several weeks has been abysmal. They're giving a ton of rushing yards. I mean, they've missed a lot of pieces defensively, but with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, I expect them guys to feast in this game. I think Devontae Adams gets his first touchdown as a New York Jet in this one, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout like the first time they face each other, but I think it's going to pretty much be in control most of this game by the Jets. And I think it's going to come down to the Patriots. I mean, Drake May's had first two really good games. I'm not saying he goes back down to life a little bit. I mean, the Jets defense hasn't been great. So maybe Drake can continue kind of the way he's been playing here. But I just think it's going to come down to the defense of the Patriots. It's really been struggling the last several weeks, and it's been something that you would have thought it's been their strong suit. But with some guys going down, with some guys having some trouble. Julius Peppers, by the way, for instance. I'm going with the Jets here. I just think that it's what it is. The Jets are going to win.
I agree. I'm going to go with the Jets. I think it's going to be like the first game. Jets are just in control from the start. I think it's going to end up being a blowout, actually. I think that Drake May, I feel so bad for the kid that with that bad offensive line, the Jets have a really good defensive line. They're going to be wrecking havoc on him all day long. And then with the Jets offense, Aaron Rodgers basically carved up what was a really good defense, and he just sliced and diced them. I think they're going to be able to run the football extremely well, but with those weapons, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, another week under their belt, that familiarity, it's going to cause a lot of issues. So give me the Jets. I think the Jets control the game from the start, and I don't think this is going to be a close game.
I know I've been kind of going up and down a little bit from the schedule here, so bear with us here. All right, so let's do Houston and Indianapolis. Two AFC South foes now going at it. The Texans won the first game against them in Week 1. They got the chance to have the rematch in this one. Oh man, you see, the AFC South, a lot of these division games just are very 50-50 split. I'm probably going to ride with Houston. Houston had a really tough loss last week. I feel like a bounce back coming. They're at their place. The Colts have been winning a lot recently, but it's been a lot of close ones. I know Nico Collins has been out, but I'm going to ride with the Houston Texans here. I think that they bounced back after a tough loss from last week.
Who's starting for the Colts? Is it Joe Flacco or is it Anthony Richardson?
Richardson started last week for them.
I think this is going to be like what it was in Week 1. I think it's going to be a classic battle between these two that goes down to the wire. I'm going to go Indian and upset, actually. CJ Stroud has not been playing well as of late. He's been struggling. Richardson wants that revenge. I think he will get it. Remember, the Colts were just a couple of plays away from actually winning that game against the Texans when they first met up. So I think it's going to be like this, close game. It's going to come down to the final couple plays. Give me Indy to win this game. It's going to be a close one.
The Arizona Cardinals will be traveling south to take on the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa will probably be back for this game. The Dolphins have been needing him desperately just to get any type of competent offense. And Tyreek Hill and others should be able to start getting back to the middle cells for sure. I just feel like Miami is going to be due for an absolute breakout of a game. They really haven't had that in terms of their whole entire year so far offensively, and not obviously a knock to them because obviously when Tua's there, Tua obviously changes a ton with their offense. The Cardinals obviously had a really good win against the Chargers, a late second field goal last week, but they're going down south. The West team crossed to an East Coast team. I like this matchup for Miami. I think Tua obviously is coming back and he is ready to give this Miami team a little bit of a jolt.
For me, I think this is going to be a shootout, Ben. I think that both teams have really good quarterbacks, really good dynamic offenses. Defenses are kind of suspect for both of these two teams. Give me, Tua, I think might be rusty in this game. Give me Arizona to go into South Beach and upset the Dolphins. But I think it's going to be a shootout. I think you have both offenses play well. You see a lot of points scored in this game, but I think in the end, I think Arizona wins it on a walk-off field goal.
All right, we've been kind of opposite so far on our slates so far, so it makes it a little more on the fun side for sure. All right, let's see if we're going to be on the same page for this one here. The Atlanta Falcons will be traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs got absolutely blasted against the Ravens last week. I know that obviously lost by 10, but that doesn't really represent the overall score. Baker Mayfield had a couple picks, but now he's really without Chris Godwin, which, by the way, Isaiah, I know obviously I really wanted to get this overall kind of tangent here, but why in the hell did Todd Bowles decide to put Chris Godwin in under a minute left when they were down by 10 points? I know that after the game that he said that, well, we have a chance to go all the way down and maybe get the touchdown, and they've been the Ravens been one of the teams that's given up multiple onside kicks. So Bose is thinking, oh well, maybe we can go all the way down and go across bit, all the way downfield and try to make something happen. But then instead, Godwin goes down, and now you're essentially losing your star receiver for the season, possibly. And now you lost. Mike Evans gonna be down for multiple weeks. The Falcons obviously have been, I think, for the most part, a pretty solid football team. They obviously had a tough game against Seattle last week. They have a ton of points to Seattle, 30 plus to be exact. For me, I'm going to go with the Falcons. I would have gone with the Bucks if they had some of their star guys healthy, but I don't know specifically who's going to really step up for their offense. I know that obviously they still have Rashad White. They have Cade Otton, Sterling Shepard, Jaden McMillan. They're going to have some secondary of these guys step up for Baker Mayfield. I know that Baker obviously could probably get these guys going, but you take away Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and you're pretty much going from up to here when it comes to the overall expectations to maybe like now towards here. And you just don't know. So I'm going to go with the Falcons here. I think that they're going to be taking on a depleted receiving room for the Bucs, and I think that it pays dividends in this one. So I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if the Buccaneers had their weapons like Godwin and Evans, like I think that they would definitely make it more competitive, and I think it would be like how they matched up the first time when it was an instant classic where it went down to the wire, went to overtime, and the Falcons won on a walk-off touchdown. But I think without Evans, without Godwin, that really hurts Baker Mayfield. I think I could see a couple interceptions from him in this game. The Falcons, the Bucs are just like obliterated by injuries right now. So give me the Falcons. I know it's in Tampa, but give me the Falcons to win. They're just the healthier team. Kirk Cousins got his like set of weapons he's got there. Bucs defense has not been that great recently. I think the Falcons put on like 30 plus points and they win this game. Like I would probably say like 30-20.
All right. Our last 1 o'clock slate of this weekend is going to be in Cincinnati as the Philadelphia Eagles be traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, after a really slow start to the season, they were 0-4, are 3 straight wins. Now, they have not all been pretty, but I think that the Bengals are starting to find kind of ways now to win these games. And the Eagles, I know, obviously had a massive game last week against the Giants. They got Brown back and they got Smith back, and their offense just seems to be right back onto track with the way that they kind of played in the first half last year, where they were just completely scoring a ton of points at will. This is a tough one to kind of gauge because you have two teams that are kind of riding more on the high side. But, the Eagles, I think, are going to be the favorite in this one, but I'm going to go with Cincy. I think that, after 28 points against the Giants, especially because the Philly is going to be a back-to-back on the road. Sometimes with that having said, you might be due for a letdown. Cincy, I know, hasn't been a great home team, but I think that they're bound to have a home win. Give me the Bengals here. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think that the Bengals pull this game out.
I agree. I think the Bengals win this game, and I think that the Bengals win it pretty handily. I think they, it's in Cincinnati, back-to-back road games, like you mentioned. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow will dominate that Eagles defense. They're not that good. They are not suspect in coverage. Their defensive line can't get after the quarterback. I think that they're gonna show the Eagles like, hey, we have a stud quarterback and we have a really good offense with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and those guys. And then the Bengals defense, they're decent. They're not like bad, but like they're not great. But I think that offense will carry them. So give me the Bengals. I would say by like 10 points.
All right, now we're getting to our 4 o'clock slate games. We've got 2 4 or 5 games. The first one starting off with the New Orleans Saints taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Saints, let's be real. Dennis Allen is definitely going to be fired. I know that obviously Derek Carr has been out for the last several weeks, so it's really hard to gauge that team. But they're just not a good team. He gave up 30-plus points to Bo Nix, an offense in Denver that's absolutely abysmal. To go into their overall building, I had the Saints winning that game, by the way. Yeah, they had after kind of that really good start to the season. They've really kind of gone really down, and I think that they're pretty much more of the team now than they were kind of earlier on the season. One of their star receivers for the Saints is already out for a long period of time as well. I forgot the name of him. So correct me, Isaiah, if you remember. But I think the Chargers, yeah, they had
Is
a
it
tough loss.
Rashid Shaheed?
Thank you. Yes, Rashid Shaheed, one of the best guys. He's down for a long extended time. And yeah, just Spencer Rattler is just not. I mean, he's a backup for a reason. It's you're gonna get what you're gonna get, and I'm just not really expecting a whole lot. The Chargers obviously had a tough one against the Cardinals, but they were right there. And the Cardinals have been. I mean, the Chargers have been playing a lot of tough games, even in their games that they've been losing. So I'm expecting the Chargers to win this one. Um, this could be a blowout. I could really see this. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout like crazy, like the Broncos did to the Saints, but I think that the Chargers, they're at home. I think Harbaugh gets the job done against the Saints.
Is Carr back yet, or is he still out for this game?
Oh, Carr's still out.
Yeah, this is going to be a blowout. It's in LA. Spencer Rattler gets flustered. Any sort of pressure comes his way. They don't have weapons. The Saints defense, I mean, good Lord. Like, you gave up 30 plus points to Bo Nix. Like, I like Bo Nix. I think he's a good, decent quarterback, but 30 points to the Broncos. Did you see that interception? Speaking of interception, did you see that interception that Spencer Rattler threw where it was late in the game? He has a guy in his place and he basically just rolls and he's like stiff arming the guy, and then he just throws it in the air. It's like, what are you doing, dude? He literally just threw it in the air. Like, come on, bro. Like, and it wasn't even a far throw. He literally just like chucked it high in the air, like, and then of course it gets picked off and returned for a touchdown. But yeah, like, dude, you gave up 30 points. Dennis Allen is going to be fired. It's a matter of when, not if he's gone. I think the New Orleans Saints right now, they're 2-5 right now. I think that's the record.
They had the first couple games, they had the wins. And then ever since the Falcons game, I think it was pretty much where their whole entire stretch went downhill. Hold on. 2-5. They won their first two games against Carolina and Dallas. That pretty much tells me, Isaiah, that one, Carolina is awful, and two, Dallas isn't very good either.
No.
So that's pretty much just telling me. And then after you had Philly, where you lost by 3, Atlanta, good team, Kansas City, good team, Tampa Bay, solid team, Denver, awful team, but you got blown out by them.
Yeah, you got blown out, and like, I think if he loses 6 straight, and if he loses like just absolutely gets blown out, I could see Dennis Allen being fired after the game because he was already on the hot seat to begin with. And if you're the Saints, you start 2-0 and you lose 6 straight, like, it's just like he's gonna be gone. That defense is atrocious. He's the play caller for the defense. The defense is just awful. And I think like Richard Sherman said at halftime of that Saints Broncos game, the Saints just looked like they quit. I mean, they were just not playing with effort in that game. But give me the Chargers. I think the Chargers, they win this game pretty handily.
Okay, we got a really good one in Seattle. The Buffalo Bills, who had a massive blowout victory against the Tennessee Titans, are going to be traveling to Seattle. Seattle had a pretty impressive victory in Atlanta last week. For me, I'm going to go with Buffalo. I think with the addition of Amari Cooper really helps balance out that offense. James Cook is going to be back for the Bills. And I think that Seattle, after 30-plus points against Atlanta, is due for aggression in the following week. I think that the Bills' defense has kind of shown some flashes where they can really get to the quarterback. Geno Smith, Isaiah, hasn't been as Geno Smith-like, I guess. He's been just very inconsistent. He hasn't been as consistent. And I'm going to go with Buffalo here. I think that they got the job done. Josh Allen, he essentially has been playing everywhere in his career. Playing on the west side. He's played, away games in the west, but games down south. Nothing phases him. I know that's obviously Seattle's a very tough environment, so I guess that's a factor, but I'm going with Buffalo.
Oh, man. I'm going to go with Buffalo as well because I don't trust Geno Smith. I think that you can count on Geno Smith to throw a couple of picks late in the game that really cost the team, and I think that's what's going to happen here. Josh Allen is not going to be fazed by that loud environment in Seattle. I think he's going to have the offense humming in this game. So give me the Bills to win this game. I don't trust the Seahawks defense to be able to stop that Bills potent offense. And I just don't trust Geno going up against a Bills defense that, really is good at getting turnovers.
Okay, we have the Chicago Bears and the Commanders. This game, by the way, actually got flexed to this overall primetime slot because we're expecting to have the number 1 draft pick from this past year against the number 2 draft pick. Now, that is to be determined because Jaden Daniels, according to Dan Quinn today, did not practice as he has been battling rib injury. So now this kind of takes into account in terms of if he's going to be even playing for this game on Sunday. We'll have to see if he practices tomorrow. So for me, this is a really tough one. I mean, the Bears, you look on paper, you'd be like, really? Like, the Commanders have been scoring a ton of points at will. They've been scoring a lot at home. They're a really good team at home. But something tells me the Commanders have not lost yet at home, I'm pretty sure. The Bears, I haven't picked them a lot. Caleb Williams is playing really good football as of late. If Jaden Daniels isn't 100%, even if he does play, I'm riding with the Bears. Upset. And I don't even know if this really is an upset because I think that both teams are kind of similar the way that both really young quarterbacks and Jaden Daniels, I think for the most part, has been phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But I think if Marcus Mariota is playing, I think that the Bears, I trust the defense for the Bears to be able to get to him. Marcus Mariota put on an absolute clinic against the Panthers, but that's not really that hard because the Panthers are not good at all on the defensive front. So I'm running with the Bears here because even if Daniels plays or not, I don't know if he's going to be 100% healthy.
If he doesn't play, it's going to be Marcus Mariota. I mean, Marcus Mariota looked good against the Panthers, but the thing is, like, how good is he considering he played against the Panthers? Like, the Panthers are just so bad right now. I mean, their defense is just so awful. I feel so bad for their fan base. I think that, you know what? I trust Cliff Kingsbury, though. I think he's a really good play caller that can maximize any quarterback that he has, and they still got weapons outside. But the Bears are a very good defense. The Commanders' offense or their defense is not that good. I'm going to go with the Bears as well. I think Caleb Williams has a big game against the Commanders' defense. If Jaden played, I think it would be a really close down to the wire game. But if he doesn't play, I think the Bears have control of the game. I think it's close, but the Bears have control of the game from start to finish.
All right, now is the epitome of the most toiletable game I think that the NFL has seen so far to this date. You got the Carolina Panthers toilet against toilet as well, I guess, too, from the AFC side. There's really nothing you can really say about this one. We could make this extremely close. Extremely short. Yes, it'll be also extremely close, but in the wrong ways as possible. I'm going to go Denver here. I mean, Denver at least has shown some complex in offense, but hasn't been great. Carolina is just Bryce Young is coming back, but doesn't really matter. That's the way that I've been talking.
Oh my God.
Mood. It's just tiring me out. It's getting late. I don't really. It's what it is. I'm going with Denver.
I'm going with Denver in a blowout. I think that their defense is awful. Oh my gosh, Ben, I could see this game being like, you remember when Denver lost to Miami like 70-18 or whatever it is? It's not going to be as bad as that, but I could see this being like 45-0. Like
the dropped 40 last week on them.
Right. So. The Panthers defense is so bad. The Broncos are really good at running the ball. And here's the thing. Their defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL. They get a lot of sacks. They get a lot of takeaways. Poor Bryce Young is going to be walking to where his offensive line is going to get absolutely obliterated. I think he turns the football over like 3 to 4, maybe 5 times in this game.
He's going to run out so bad after this one too.
He's going to get sacked so bad. Like, Give me the Broncos in a blowout. The problem with the Broncos is their offense is so inconsistent. It's so hard to watch. But at least with their defense, like they keep them in games. So I got the Broncos waxing the Panthers. It's not even going to be close.
And even if the Broncos weren't great in this one offensively, they'll still be able to win. The Panthers are just that bad. So that's that. All right, now we get into another one, AFC West clash here. We have the Kansas City Chiefs against the Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas isn't good. The Chiefs are. Give me the Chiefs.
Couple stats for you in the Rams game, playing against mostly backups. Aiden O'Connell got hurt, I think, in the first quarter. He came in, got hurt. I think he was like 0 for 4 passing wise. He gets hurt, and then Gardner Minshew comes in and he throws 3 picks. I mean, like you talked about the ultimate like toilet performance. There you go. Chiefs defense. They're hunting at quarterback. They're hunting for the quarterbacks. They're really good at taking away the ball. I mean, you give Mahomes any possessions, he's gonna just go off, especially with DeAndre Hopkins, I think, playing in that game. Raiders defense is god awful. Chiefs win, they're gonna blow them out. And I'll tell you right now, Antonio Pierce, I think, goes one and done in Vegas. I think everything is just I think it's just looking that way. Like that it's bad on the field and it's bad off the field. I mean, players are shoving coaches, players are quitting left and right. I could see the Raiders having like a really bad season. Like I predicted them before the season 4-13. I could see them going like 2-15. And if they lose, like I think right now they're at 2-5. If they lose 10 straight to end the season, I think Mark Davis has no chance but to pull the plug on Antonio Pierce.
All right, Sunday Night Football this week. We got the Dallas Cowboys taking on your 49ers. Speaking of Jerry, he's going to be coming off his bye week, trying to beat you guys. I know that obviously guys are going to be without Ayuk, but Samuel is maybe questionable. You know, Persa Debo, I know he's been going through some stuff off the field, but Brock Purdy, 3 interceptions last week. I think he's bouncing back in this one. Dallas doesn't have a great defense. Parsons has still been out. Lawrence has still been out. Dallas also, Isaiah, has the worst rushing defense in the league. And McCaffrey was playing this one. This is free eats for the Niners, per se, offensively. But I think that Jordan Mason's still a competent guy. I think Juszczyk will be used a lot in this one. And I think that Purdy's just going to do a lot with his arm. George Kittle, I think, is due for a good big game as well. Dallas just gives up a ton of points, yards after the catch. Their secondary isn't great. And Dak Prescott, Isaiah, the last several weeks, the timely possessions that he's had in the red zone, picks after picks after picks. Give me the Niners here. I think that especially back-to-back home games, I don't see them losing back-to-back games despite the Niners being, shorthanded offensively.
The problem with the Niners is Ayuk is out with the ACL. Debo might not play because he's got the pneumonia. If that happens, I could see it being a closer game, but still, give me the Niners because I think they're going to run all over the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys run defense is awful. I think that the Niners are a really good rushing team. But I'm worried when it comes to passing situations, like what is Purdy going to do? Like I could see Brock Purdy, Ben, having like a 3 interception game just because he doesn't have that rhythm with his receivers. Like Ricky Pearsall, by the way, shout out to Ricky Pearsall. I mean, the guy got shot and then he comes back like 7 weeks later or 6 weeks later and he played in the game against the Chiefs. He made a couple of catches. Shout out to him, but he has to be a bigger focal point now, the offense with Ayuk being down. And also like rookies like Jacob Cowing and Ronnie Bell, the sophomore, I think they have to be a bigger part, but you've never really seen a lot of production from those guys. So it's kind of like you're counting a lot on them. But if I'm Shanahan, I think what you do is you're running the football 40, 50 times in this game. You don't put a lot of emphasis on the passing game, and you trust your defense to be able to get after Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. But I got the Niners to win, but I think that it's going to be low scoring because I don't know if the Niners with their receivers will be able to get the ball down the field, but I trust that running game. So give me the Niners to win this game. I think you're going to see a lot of field goals involved in this game, especially in the red zone. Give me the Niners to win this game. I'll say pretty handedly, but I think it'll be a lower scoring game than you would expect from Niners Cowboys.
And last game but not least on the program this weekend is the New York Giants are going to be going to Pittsburgh to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now the other New York team, back-to-back weeks, another New York team will get to go to Pittsburgh to try to win on Monday Night Football. Jets were on Sunday Night Football, so it would have been funny enough they were back-to-back on Monday. But yeah, I think that the Steelers are winning this game. I think that there's going to be a New York team that wins on Monday, but it's not going to be the football team. It'll be the baseball team, as the World Series is going to be going on the exact same time. So a lot of Yankee Giant fans around me, they'll be watching more of the Yankee game. After the Giants, I don't think they're going to get blown out, but I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a good home team. They've shown it so far. I mean, they actually just whooped the Jets defense. The Jets are supposed to have this great defense. But yeah, Russ, I mean, the way he played last week, I don't know if he's going to be having the same type of Russ outing. But the Giants' offensive line is an absolute shambles. Andrew Thomas is now out for the long term. I don't know if Evan Neal's coming back. They were without what was it? Running back Devin Singletary's been gone. He's been kind of banged up.
He's been out.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not liking where this Giants thing is headed right now. They obviously had a really good start, but I think that it's kind of fallen off a little bit to the cliff here. So, yeah, give me Pittsburgh. I like their situation right now better, and I like the coach better as well too. So give me Pittsburgh.
Ben, why did the NFL not flex Bears and Commanders onto Monday night? Because now we have to stick to watching this garbage on Monday Night Football. Like, you talk about, I mean, the Jets got whooped, and their offensive.
They should have put, honestly, they should have put the Giants and the Steelers to the 1 o'clock slate and put the Eagles and the Bengals. Like, that would have been a fun Monday night game.
This is going to be a snooze fest. Like, you think about Broncos and Panthers being a snooze fest. The Giants have an atrocious offensive line. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. It's like you're literally like, this is going to be a disaster waiting to happen. TJ Watt is going to terrorize Daniel Jones. You remember when the Giants played the Eagles like this past weekend? It was awful. Like the Giants could not move the football at all. It's going to be like that, and it's going to be like 5 times worse because Daniel Jones is just going to be hit, and it's going to be interception, especially against that Pittsburgh Steelers secondary. This Giants have no shot. Put in Drew Lock, Brian Dable. At least you maybe see some deep passing. Who knows? But that Steeler defense is just going to dominate the Giants offense. I think that it's going to be like, Ben, I wouldn't be shocked if in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, it's like 17-3 or 17-0. And the Giants, like, one of those games where it's like end of the first quarter, it's like, it's not a blowout, but it's like, the other team just doesn't have a chance. Like, it's going to be like that, especially with the Giants. Like, I feel so bad for Daniel Jones, man. I hope he has like an ice pack and some deep heat waiting for him because, like, dude, this guy's going to hit like a bunch in this game, especially with the Giants not being able to protect. So give me the Steelers to blow out the Giants. I'm not even going to be watching that game. I'm watching the Yankees-Dodgers instead. Thank goodness for baseball. This might be one of the lowest rated Monday Night Football games of all time, given that we have Yankees-Dodgers World Series.
I thank the baseball gods.
Yes.
The football gods to have one of the best World Series potentially of all time and to have a game of Yankees. Potentially, when you look at game 3s in the series too, like the swing game, because I think it's going to be 1-1. So, like, both teams are just going to go at it back and forth in game 3. So yeah, I would not want to watch the Giants Steelers if I don't want.
No, and think about this too. The Bronx will be absolutely rocking because this will be the first World Series game since 2009. They've been waiting for a World Series game there in the Bronx for a while. So yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if like some of the legends come back, like Jeter, Posada, like they throw out the first pitch. Like it's gonna be electric. I can't wait.
They'll definitely all be there. They'll probably have something. Really, one quick game, and I think that we're gonna call it a show. I know that obviously we're gonna try to get to the NBA, but it's definitely getting late, and I got to be up early tomorrow for another show I have for my other podcast. But let's do the Ravens and Browns. I completely missed that game, but I think that this is a game that really, both of us pretty much will be on par for. The Ravens are an absolute juggernaut. The Browns absolutely stink. Give me the Ravens all day, every day. Listen, if Deshaun was playing, if he wasn't playing, hopefully, I know that obviously there's stuff about Deshaun. I hate, having injuries, risk on anyone per se. I'm not going to talk about it, but the Browns, whether he's playing or not, they have Dory Finney. No, I'm sorry. Jameis Winston's going to be starting. Prayers to Jameis Winston against that Ravens defense. And yeah, the Ravens they're just a freaking juggernaut. So give me the Ravens.
Ben, yeah, give me the Ravens as well. This is gonna be, I mean, the Browns, like offensively, they suck anyways. With or without Deshaun, Jameis Winston is a pick machine waiting to happen. So against that aggressive defense, good luck with that. The only thing funny about this matchup, Ben, is like I was on Twitter yesterday and I was just scrolling through like some news that was happening on ESPN. And here's the thing. This is how you know. Look at this on Twitter. Look at this right there. Breaking news. Bailey Zappi signed with the Browns. That is breaking news material. Like that's massive breaking news Twitter material. So, I mean, it's so funny that Zappi made the national headlines that he signed with the Browns. That he's breaking news. I mean, if I'm the Browns, you might as well start maybe try Zappi. I don't know, like if it's really that bad, because I think it might be. So, but yeah, I mean, I just couldn't believe it that Bailey Zappi made breaking national news. Like I guess he made it. But yeah, give me the Ravens. This is going to be an utter a blowout for sure.
Okay, and that concludes our Week 8 slate. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Want to really quickly get into Edward Lee's comment before we get our final thoughts. Yanks or Dodgers. Me and Isaiah talked about that earlier on the program tonight. Isaiah has the Yankees in 7. I had the Dodgers in 7. But if you guys want to see more of that stuff, like we talked about earlier on the program, make sure to join me, Isaiah, and our Dodger fan on our network, Lower Antonio. We're going to get into all of that stuff. There we go. There's a preview back and forth of the Avengers, I guess we can call it. I haven't really watched the Avengers, so I don't know the actual characters of it, but you have like Hulk Hogan and, Marvel characters. You have Hulk Hogan and, Bowser or any of the big guys just going back and forth. Donkey Kong. It's gonna be a freaking battle. It'll be a war, and we can't wait for that stuff. All right, so the final thoughts really quick though. Great show, Isaiah. We'll definitely on our next program, okay, with Kruse, we'll start with the NBA because obviously the NBA came back. If you want to talk any about that in final thoughts, by all means, quick. Really quick, the Celtics raised their banner night yesterday, and they were absolutely fantastic. They tied a franchise record for most threes shot with 29. They had 4 minutes to break that, but for some odd reason, our bench couldn't do it. And yeah, it was so fun to watch. Everything about it, vibes are high. And yeah, it should be just another fun season for us. And we'll talk more about the NBA in our next program. But overall, great show. And I'll just take it to you for the remainder because I'm ready to go to sleep.
Yeah, Ben, I mean, it was a great show. Appreciate you for having me on, and appreciate all the viewers for tuning in. I don't know if you know this, but I was checking the Facebook viewership the whole night, and the show absolutely blew up. I mean, I think when we were at an hour in, we were already at 100 views, and I think right now, as we are about to end the show, we're about almost 2 hours. We're at 2 hours into the program. we're closing in on 300 views. So, I mean, I could see this show being at a 500 views by the end of the week. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for blowing it up tonight and, commenting as well. My final thoughts, Ben, is I know you talked about the Celtics being the champions and congratulations, but did you see the Lakers, man, last night? The Lakers got me so hyped up and joyful, Ben. Like, you might call me crazy.
After seeing the guy you had last year doing this the whole entire time on the sideline with his pockets, like,
Yeah, right?
Had during headlights and Darvin Ham. And now, during headlights, he's actually right now with the Bucks now this year, Darvin Ham. So,
is he really with the Bucks
over there?
Oh my God! But yeah, I mean, the Lakers look so much better. Like we have a competent coach. I mean, JJ Redick was yelling at refs. He was talking trash to Anthony Edwards. He was yelling at players. I mean, look, the offense. I mean, so much ball movement, player movement, this and that. Like great concepts out of timeouts. And Ben, the thing with the Lakers is last year, Darvin Ham would wait till the other team had a 14-0 run before he called a timeout. JJ Redick called a timeout when Minnesota went on a 5-0 run. I mean, that's improvement right there. Like, we have a coach that is competent now, and I'm so excited about it. But I'm also excited about this. Our new big three that will terrorize the NBA. Like, I want to thank the entire NBA for giving the Lakers a chance to get Dalton Connect. Like, how the heck did that happen? That guy reminds me of Klay Thompson, where he can curl off screens and shoot threes. He can shoot the wide open threes in the corner. He can slash to the hoop. I mean, Dalton Connect needs to be a starter. I don't want D'Angelo Russell. Get him off my team. Get him out of the starting lineup. He was atrocious last night. And, I also want to say this. Max Christie, Gabe Vincent, they're so freaking useless. I mean, I was texting in the group chat last night. Gabe Vincent, send him to Hong Kong, for crying out loud. Like, that guy is trash. Every time he comes in, the offense stalls. Every time, he's going up again, he's like guarding a guy, he always picks up fouls. And Max Christie was even worse. We gave him a 4-year big contract this offseason. I don't even know what he's done to validate the hype because he's been truly atrocious. Like, you got Laker fans saying, like, oh, we need to keep Christie because he's so valuable. He's such a young, valuable player. And I'm just like, what has he done in 2 years to validate the hype? Like, people were calling him, he reminds me about Taylor Horton Tucker, where people were like hyping him up, saying like, oh, we just got to give him a shot. We got to give him a shot. Can you believe this? People were calling Taylor Horton Tucker, Laker fans were calling Taylor Horton Tucker the next Paul Pierce and the next Kobe Bryant when he was with the Lakers. And I was just like, and people were like, this is the guy that's going to get the reins from LeBron James after he retires. And I'm just like, are you serious? And it's the same thing with Christie. Like, Christie last night, I watched that game. He had a wide open three. He shot it 5 foot out of bounds, air ball. Like, come on, dude. And like, get this, he attempted 4 threes. 3 of those threes that he attempted ended up being an air ball. Like, this guy was shooting atrociously. And then defensively, he played 11 minutes. He played 11 minutes the entire game. He picked up 5 fouls. How do you pick up 5 fouls in 11 minutes of play? Like, it was atrocious. But yeah. Get Christie, get Gabe Vincent off my team, put in Dalton Connect, make him the starter, or let him play like 30 minutes moving forward. But the Lakers, just very, very impressive stuff.
Yeah, you guys definitely look good for the first game for sure. And yeah, it should be really fun NBA season. We'll talk about that more next show. So without further ado, thank you guys for joining Kicking with Kruse. Like Isaiah mentioned, thank you guys for joining tonight. Really appreciate the viewership. We're really just trying to grow not only my show, but just all the shows on the channel. So we really appreciate that. And make sure tomorrow and today now to join me, Lauro, and Isaiah for a World Series batter up special. We'll go in the ins and outs of everything. Players to watch, X factors, predictions, everything. So make sure to join for that tomorrow or now tonight. on the program. So thank you guys. So without further ado, thank you guys for joining Kick with Kruse alongside my co-host Isaiah Leon. I am Ben Kruse. Thank you right there. Join for an in-depth World Series preview once again. And yeah, so thank you guys once again on joining Kick with Kruse. We will see you guys tomorrow on our Batter Up special. And hope you guys have a great rest of your evening/night. Get some sleep. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Talk to you guys later.
The goal to go from the two. Toss sweep one for James White. Cuts it under the right arm. Cuts it upfield. Driving forward. Diving to the goal line. A touchdown. And a title for the Patriots. I can't believe it. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
45 remaining. Tatum drives down and throws it down. Bases loaded. 2 out. Hard hitting to right. Back at the wall. Tie game. Big Poppy.
No icing. For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Anything's possible.